We've got a great conversation today with Lucas Kunce, the US Marine challenging Josh Hawley for Missouri Senate seat. I think he's got a real chance to beat him. Lucas is the kind of guy who calls out BS when he sees it. He just called Tommy Tuberville to the mat on Fox News for harming national security. We get into that in our conversation, but first, I want you to see his latest ad.
Manhood. You'd hope that means courage. Courage isn't something you can give speeches or write a book about. It's not sitting on the sidelines while others sacrifice, or denying help to those who did. It isn't putting people down or trying to control them, or using your own power for profit or ambition. In Missouri, you can't fake courage. We're the show-me state. Courage is something you have to show us. It shows in the working class people that pitch in to help the family next door bankrupted by medical bills. It shows in the Marine who signed up to honor and serve the community that took care of him. It shows when a Missourian stands up to the powerful, when he fights to rebuild his state, to empower people, to secure our future. If you want to be told about manhood, some guy wrote a book about it. But if you want someone to show you courage, send Lucas Kunce to the Senate.
Lucas Kunce, welcome to Against All Enemies. Definitely want an update on the campaign, but tell me about this op-ed. You're calling out Senator Tommy Tuberville on Fox News. What's that about?
Yeah, well, it's about, going after a guy who's never served in the military, actually damaging us and our unit cohesion, our ability to accomplish the mission every single day, just, using us as political pawns. And so, I was a Marine for 13 years. I deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. You were in the service as well. And it's just, it's incumbent upon people like us to speak up when we see folks damaging national security in the military, especially these people who claim to be America first.
Yeah, Tommy Tuberville said, if memory serves, no one's more military than I am, I guess because his dad served. Tell us what he is doing in terms of affecting military readiness, in terms of making female service members second-class citizens. I mean, there's really no excuse for the hold he has put on these promotions, but what is his justification?
Right. So what he's saying is that he doesn't want DOD to provide travel for women service members to go get abortions who are stationed in states where you don't have access to that health care. And so what he's done, though, is he's held up every single military general officer promotion across every single service, including the Marine Corps commandant. I'm a Marine. We don't have a commandant for the first time in over a century. And so what I don't think a lot of people realize, though, is just the impact that actually has on military missions. So we're like, I think it's about 300 officers right now who haven't been promoted. And those officers are taking over for people who retired. So we've lost 300 folks, and the people who are supposed to replace them aren't able to replace them. So what happens is the second in command has to try to do both the main job and the second command job, and then that ripples all the way down the chain of command. And so when I was in the military, I actually personally saw this, not in a military context, but I was doing arms control negotiations with the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. And so it's an organization in Europe that's job is to prevent conventional warfare from happening in Europe, which obviously we've seen happen, right? And this was during Russia's buildup. It was when they were modernizing their military, it was when they were rehearsing to invade Ukraine again. And, we were there for 3 years. We didn't have an ambassador because one wasn't ever appointed. And the entire time we were trying to get our allies to take hard positions on Russia and Russia to step back from some of the things they were doing. A lot of people didn't take us seriously because we didn't have an ambassador. We didn't ever bother to put someone into that position. And all of us who were below that, we were perfectly capable of doing the job, but we were all getting stretched thin, and we were at a much lower rank than the folks that other people were bringing. And it hurts our national security. And right now you're going to see that all over places like the Pacific, where you don't have general officers doing these jobs, and people are going to wonder, is America really serious about China and our allies, partners, and people who we're trying to convince are going to be in a position where, like, well, I just don't know, because they don't seem to care enough to send a general officer when China's sending a general officer.
And all of this is because of the performative politics of one senator. This isn't like some caucus. It's a lone senator putting on a show for the most reactionary elements of his base, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's gross. And again, like I don't think he understands the impact that it's going to have on national security. But the worst part is that I don't think he cares either. I mean, this isn't that hard to figure out. There's a lot of people in the military, and everybody who's there is telling him. And these are career officers, right? These aren't political folks. It's general officers, the outgoing Marine Corps commandant. It's people like that who are asking him to make sure that Marines and other service members can accomplish their mission and keep America safe.
Hey everyone, if you've been watching this show, you've already heard me mention our sponsor, Storied Hats. Thanks to all of you who've already bought one. You know they are top quality hats made in fair trade facilities with sustainable materials. I've got a great new offer for listeners of this show. If you get one hat, it's 15% off. And if you get a second hat, that one is 50% off. Check them out, get a great hat or two, and support both our show and a small business that is doing its part for the planet. Thanks. I think it bears reminding people that this is the same senator who, when challenged about the danger that white supremacists, white nationalists in the military pose, responded, "I don't see white nationalists, I see Americans." I mean, that's who we're dealing with here. Any claim to care about national security, I think, goes out the window when you're defending white nationalists in the military.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I mean, there's no room for extremists in the military. I led a police training team in Iraq on many missions, dodging IEDs, trying to bring everybody home safe. It was me, 12 Marines, and a Navy corpsman. We were all different colors from all different backgrounds, economic and cultural. And the last thing that we would have wanted or needed on those missions was somebody who was an extremist taking positions that really would have broken our unit cohesion and morale and had everybody infighting over things that really aren't relevant, right? I mean, we were all good Americans trying to keep our country safe, serve our communities, and to think that he would want people in positions like that when really, like, these are life and death situations. You can't be fighting with each other because you don't like the color of somebody else's skin. Like, that's crazy. It's un-American, and it would have been very bad for us. And so, I mean, it's just, you're right. Like, the dude doesn't care about national security. He doesn't care about unit cohesion. He doesn't care about the military being able to accomplish the mission.
Well, he might be in the find out stage of messing with national security. I'm going to try to keep the explicit rating off of this one, because Alabama, which was supposed to get Space Command after a 11th hour Trump decision, that was just reversed, and Colorado's going to keep it. We had Jason Crow on, the rep from Colorado, talking about it, and a large part of that decision is the fact that women service members in Alabama and civilian contractors, women in Alabama, period, are second-class citizens because of the attitude towards women's health care and the grandstanding of people like Tommy Tuberville.
Alabamans, they deserve someone who's going to take care of them, take care of the state. They don't have that, right? They got a guy who doesn't care about them, just cares about his own grandstanding. And sometimes you get what's coming to you, and that's what happened with Tommy Tuberville. And it's real sad that normal, everyday Americans who live in that state have to be the collateral damage for his grandstanding.
Why Fox News? Why did you make the case in Fox News that Tommy Tuberville is in fact a threat to national security?
Because I want to put it right in their faces, right? Like, I want them to see that. It's him, it's Josh Hawley. The funny thing is, for the guy I'm running against, Josh Hawley, he got pulled off the Senate Armed Services Committee for pulling these exact same stunts on political appointees. And so, like, Tommy Tuberville learned from him. And, unfortunately, I guess for Mitch McConnell, the guy who replaced Josh Hawley on there was this Yahoo. And now he's in the same situation, but worse. And so, for me, I want to remind them and people who might be supporting them every single day that these guys are frauds and that they're cowards and they don't care about America. They only care about power for themselves. I mean, that's Tommy Tuberville and that's Josh Hawley in a nutshell. And I can't speak for the people of Alabama because I don't know the state, but here in Missouri, people are tired of cowards and frauds representing them, and it's a good opportunity to just remind everybody that's what they got, and we got an opportunity to change that in 2024.
Well, I feel like I can speak for the people of Alabama. I'm not unfairly picking on them because that's where I spent my formative years, graduated from high school in Alabama, and it
Oh, all
is
right, man.
a
I didn't know that.
constant it is a constant source of embarrassment. But there are good people in Alabama, as in Missouri, as in every corner of this country, fighting back, trying to achieve some progress, some sense of equity and equality. So yeah, I want the update on Missouri and your Senate race because you've got Tuberville has some close competition in the person of Josh Hawley for the most destructive senator when it comes to national security.
Well, it's sad, but it's also, from my point of view, it's very interesting because it gives us a real opportunity that might not exist otherwise. I mean, recent poll came out and showed Josh Hawley is the least popular Republican senator who's up for election this cycle. So he's got the lowest approval rating, lower than Ted Cruz, lower than Rick Scott, lower than all of them. And so he's a guy who, like, you can just tell that he's super lame, right? Like, you don't really like this guy, and he does just weird, creepy things. I mean, he writes a book about manhood, telling everybody, and calls it manhood, and explains to everyone that the best way to be a man is to be exactly like him. The guy who incites a riot and then runs away from the very people he was inciting. And so it's just, it's a real opportunity here where people are looking to take back power for themselves. Like, they're tired of the Hollies and the Tubervilles taking power away from them, trying to control them in the bedroom, control them in the workplace, control them in the doctor's office. Here in Missouri, we've passed a bunch of ballot measures on statewide initiatives overturning that type of control. We overthrew the anti-union right to work 68% to 32%. We expanded Medicaid. We passed recreational marijuana, all these things against Josh Hawley. So it's really exciting for me to be on the front edge as a candidate, sort of leading that charge to win a seat against a guy who does things that nobody here wants.
Give us a sense of the depth of Hawley's hypocrisy. It goes far beyond fist pumping insurrectionists and then hightailing it as soon as he felt the heat. I mean, this guy was born into privilege. He is son of a bank president, private school on the East Coast and in Europe, Yale Law School.
He runs around saying he's the man for working people, but again, he doesn't want working people to be able to unionize. He thinks that right to work is the right way to go. When he was the attorney general, he helped with a lawsuit to make sure that anybody didn't get overtime pay. Like, it's absolutely bananas. The guy really, he just takes money from the wrong people, makes decisions that work for them, and just helps gut our communities for parts and leave everyday Missourians behind. But the fun thing about him is that as much as he tries, like, he doesn't carry it very well, right? Like, he comes across as a faker, which is why his approval rating's so low. And it's also a good opportunity for us because we're able to get people in Missouri to rally around us. One of the things that I'm doing is I don't take money from corporate PACs, no big fossil fuel executives, no big pharma executives. We got a pretty long list, and we've still raised $2.5 million. We've raised more than him if you take away the fact that Republicans and the National Republican Senatorial Committee have been bailing him out with campaign transfers in order to keep his numbers up. And so we've been able to be very competitive with the rules that we put in place for ourselves, the self-imposed rules, and an average donation of somewhere around $30. So it's really exciting to see a true movement building out here in the Midwest against the hypocrisy that people like him bring here.
You got any viral campaign videos coming out?
Well, we knocked a couple out. Our launch video went pretty fire, and then I don't know if you saw
Oh, I know.
John Hamm did a video for us too about Josh Hawley's little manhood book, and we do have a couple more that we're brainstorming right now, and we're real excited to get them out there here in the foreseeable future.
Cool. We'll put Ham's video at the top of this episode. Thank you so much, Lucas, for coming on. Get back on the road.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Ken. I appreciate you as always.